it's first and foremost, saving lives is what we do. If there's a better buckle, we're going to have it.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a better stitch, we're going to have it. And now, does that cost more?
Of course,
yeah,
yes.
it does. But it's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
When it's needed, it's going to work. Because when it's needed, no one's giving it any thought. It's just right now.
Well, and I think it's something, if you go and ask the people that have experienced falls or failures of other harnesses, and you ask them at that very moment, would you rather spend a little bit more and have a higher quality product? I about guarantee you that they would. And that's one of our core values is quality.
Yeah.
Quality at its best, nothing less. And it's a foundational thing inside of all of our team that, you know, if it doesn't pass our quality test, and that bar's really, really high,
Sure.
then it don't go out of our building. And that's something we coach, and it sounds like you coach as well on your team to make sure that, you know, that is who we are. We're gonna provide a product that's gonna save lives, and it's an awesome thing to see, because I know, I mean, I don't hunt as much anymore. I don't really. It's a problem. It's not a problem that I don't enjoy it. It's a problem that that I don't want to get up that early in the morning.
Sure.
But, you know, I've got kids. I've got, you know, I do this. I have a wife. You know, I've got people that are, like you said, that are depending on me. And if I'm going to go out, then why wouldn't I do it the safest way possible and with the best quality of product?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I want to. The reason I asked about that safety line is
Yep.
I got a little story that, and this is a direct thing ties into what you do here. And so I'm going to say I could drive, so I had to be 16 because it was me and my friend Conrad, which he's been on the podcast here before. And we were down in Hamilton, Alabama, which is would be the west side of Alabama, and we were hunting. And I remember that morning getting he was going to hunt this hang-on stand that was probably about 200 yards ish from me. I was hunting my climber. It was a great morning. I remember getting in the stand. We were seeing a lot of deer. You know, messaging back and forth that, you know, he was seeing deer, I was seeing deer. And I recall sitting there. It was probably about, because he had actually missed a deer that morning, and that was his thing. He was getting down to go check his arrow and things of that nature. And I remember sitting there, and I heard this noise, and I thought it was a dog. I really thought it was a dog or a coyote or something. And it was like a yelp. Looking back, I know what it was, but it sounded like a yelp. And then I heard this thud, just this big thud. And I'm about 200 yards away, so you know, you're sitting there thinking, you're like, what was that? That's strange. You don't hear that in the woods. Tree, maybe a tree fell, maybe I don't know. And then I remember about 2 or 3 minutes later, I heard this again. I thought it was a coyote start to yelp and howl, and it took me a little bit, and all of a sudden, the dots connected, and I was like, "Oh man, he just fell from his stand." And so I remember the adrenaline kicked in. I didn't know what I would see when I got there. I didn't know. I did know that I was hearing him, so that's a positive. And I remember going down my climber as fast as I possibly could, and running through the woods. I mean, like I was Braveheart going into battle. Anyway, and I got over there, and he was laying there on the ground, and he was kind of, I recall he was conscious, but he was like, I couldn't tell how seriously injured he was. And he had told me, hey, he was able to tell me that he had shot at a deer, but I knew he had something going on when he kept just repeating himself. Yeah. And it was 3 minutes later, he'd say the same thing. Hey man, I shot a deer, dude. We need to go check the arrow or check for the arrow and things of that nature. So after we got him out of the woods, got him there, and I remember going back and thinking what happened, because he had his harness on, right? He had his harness on and everything. And so, and there's another side of this. This was an old stand that had two pieces, and the top piece was laying on the ground behind him. So I started putting, and he finally started remembering what happened. And he said, in his stand. He was safe. He had his safety harness on. Everything was perfect. It's like you said. This was back a long time ago. He unhooked, came down. He said his foot slipped, and when his foot slipped, he grabbed the top part of that stand. Well, when he grabbed it, it swung him around, and it somehow. This was an old chain stand, so first of all, the stand wasn't safe. That's where it started. Swung him around, and that's why he fell. So that's why I mentioned that about the safety line. That day moving forward, there's not a stand that I don't have without that. Before I take that first step, I'm clipped in, and it makes it. You feel so much more comfortable. You feel you're not thinking in your mind, well, I hope I'm okay this morning. God protect. Of course, you still ask for protection, but you're not, because accidents happen. It ain't always your fault. Their stands break, things break, and I have people today still say, "Man, I ain't gonna wear no harness," and I'm just like, "Come on, man, your life is too valuable, to not be doing that."
I always try to refer back to those people when they make those comments that's a selfish comment.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
Because
Very.
you're only talking about yourself.
Amen.
Do you have a wife? Do you have kids?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a boss that relies on you to come to work on Monday? Parents, siblings, people that love you, don't want you to be hurt. Hospitals would love to have you. Maybe you like them more than the family. And you can almost shame some people into at least thinking about it, because